how many answers are there to this problem? Does the answer depend on how you work the problem? Well, let's see. You could do the problem as 6 divided by 2 to get 3. Then you could add 1 and 2 to get 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. We know those calculations are correct. Or you could work from this direction, from right to left, and do 1 plus 2, which is 3. Then you could do 3 times 2 to get 6. You could do 6 divided by 6 to get 1. Once again, no calculation errors, but only one is correct. Do you know which one is correct? Well, for the people who know PEMDAS, the people who understand PEMDAS, they know what the right answer is to this. And in this lesson, we're going to learn all about PEMDAS. This is Algebra 1, step by step, very first lesson. And we start with PEMDAS because algebra is there's a lot of problem solving and there's a lot of equation solving in algebra. To solve an equation in algebra, you have to do PEMDAS backwards, or what we like to call inverse PEMDAS. We've got 2 learning objectives today. One is we're going to define and identify the order of operations using PEMDAS, which is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, followed by addition and subtraction. More importantly, we're going to learn how to apply the order of operations to solve mathematical expressions with multiple operations. In algebra, a lot of problems are going to have multiple operations. In geometry, lots of problems are going to have multiple operations. Algebra 2, trig, calculus. Ever how far you go mathematically, you're going to keep encountering problems that have multiple operations. The way that we remember PEMDAS and the way that we've remembered PEMDAS throughout the ages is this member called Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. Where the P is for parentheses, your E is for exponents. A lot of times in a math class you may see it as x to the end or some variable to the end. M is for multiplication. D is division. And E is adding. E, not A, not E. It's adding. And then finally, S is for subtracting. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Well, who's Aunt Sally? She's this crazy lady. She's going to embarrass you at Thanksgiving, Christmas. She's going to give you a Easter bunny outfit from Christmas. She's just nuts. So we're going to start off in the next slide by learning about PEMDAS. So let's get started. We're beginning with PEMDAS, or we're beginning PEMDAS with parentheses. Parentheses is typically what I just wrote here, but it's any grouping symbol. It can include brackets. A lot of times we don't mention brackets early on in algebra, and then we just throw them at people later on, and we don't understand why kids are confused. Well, they're confused because we didn't front load it or tell them, like I'm telling you now, that brackets and parentheses are the same thing. They're synonyms. And we work from the inside out. So later on, you'll see some brackets. They'll have some kind of operation here. And then inside those brackets, you'll have some parentheses. And we do what's in the innermost parentheses first. And each grouping symbol, like you always follow PEMDAS. So inside these parentheses, you still do PEMDAS. Inside this bracket, you still do PEMDAS. You always do PEMDAS. PEMDAS is our instructions on how to do mathematics properly. And once again, just do what's on the inside first. If you don't take anything else from this slide, take the fact that we work inside out and we do what's on the inside first. So here's a couple of problems. I need you to work these problems. You can work them individually. You can work them with a partner. You can work them with a small group. In just a second, when I quit speaking, you need to pause the video, and I'll be here when you get back, I promise. But when you come back, I'll explain these problems to you. Let's compare your work to my work. Once again, we're learning PEMDAS. What I like to do when I learn something new in a mathematics course, I always like to write it down. So I'm writing down PEMDAS. So we're going to work these two problems. The first one is we do 2 times 3 to get 6. And then we're going to add 5. So if you have $6 and later on you get 5, you have 11. So the answer for the first one is 11. Double check your work. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section and I'll be glad to answer them. The next one, we got parentheses. We're going to do 2 times what's in the parentheses. Well, it's 3 plus 5. So we're going to do 2 times 8. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. That leads us to what is the difference between these two problems? Well, they have the same numbers, but yet we got different answers. They have the same numbers and the same operations. We're adding and we're multiplying. Well, the difference is we have different instructions. Different instructions. What you need to remember is PEMDAS is a set of instructions. The reason PEMDAS works is because we've agreed as mathematicians that math problems should be done in a certain order. And the order that we decided to do them in is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. It's just the grammar, it's the syntax we use. It's like writing a correct sentence in your English class or your language class. So we need these instructions so we can all be on the same page. We can all get the same answer. So after working with parentheses, then we move on to exponents. So now we have PEMDAS. So think for just a second about what are exponents. We'll pause the video. I'll be back shortly, and I'll look forward to hearing what you think exponents are. So what are exponents? Exponents, it's just repeated. It's repeated multiplication. You're probably wondering why we're stopping here just to have this discussion. Well, the number one reason people struggle in algebra is they just don't understand what's being asked. So as we come across vocabulary, it's very important that we not only understand the vocabulary, but we internalize it so we know what's being asked later on. So exponents, it's repeated multiplication. So like 2 squared, that's 2 times 2 or 4. But what if we had 2 to the 4th? Well, that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. But what if we had 2 to the 8th? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 problems. And that's kind of, 2 to the 8th, that takes a lot of room to write. Would you either write 2 to the 8th power or this? So we always want to be concise when writing, whether it's in English or mathematics. We want to do the most concise writing as possible, because the more concise our writing is, the simpler the work. But with PEMDAS, we always do what's in parentheses first. We've already covered that. Now we're working with exponents. So here's some practice problems. So I want you to try this first. And I want you to look at PEMDAS. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'll be back shortly. But I want you to, either individually, with a partner, small group, I want you to think through how you think these problems should be done. And in just a moment, I'll come back and I'll explain it to you. The thinking through it on your own before I explain it is huge in the learning process because it's just engaging your thinking and it's going to make the explanations a lot more meaningful in just a moment. Okay, let's look at these problems together. Once again, we're doing PEMDAS. We're just going to take them one step at a time. So the first one, I'm looking for parentheses. I don't see any parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and come over here and rewrite it as 4 plus 2 times 3 squared plus 2 squared. So we're done with the parentheses. There's just nothing to do, which is fine. Now we're going to move on to the exponents. We'll go ahead and circle that 3 squared, that 2 squared. The reason I'm doing that is just tells me I've got to do something with them in a moment. And instead of trying to hold all these thoughts in my head, I'm just holding them on paper, making little notes here. The fewer thoughts you have and the less stuff in your head, the easier it is to do mathematics. We got 4 plus 2 times something. Well, that 2 is going to be multiplied by 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, or 9. I'm going to go ahead and write my multiplication as parentheses 9. And then we're going to add that to something. Well, that something is 2 squared, which is 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to move on to the next step. So we've done parentheses. We've done exponents. We're going to multiply. We'll put a little box around what I'm multiplying. Once again, that just reduces my thinking. But now I think, well, what's 2 times 9? I know that multiplication is repeated addition. So 9 plus 9 is 18. Now I'm going to do 4 plus 18 plus 4. So now we just got a simple addition problem. So we took a complicated problem and we made it easy. That's what we're going to do throughout this course. So we're going to take what's complicated, we're going to break it down and make it easy. Well, 4 plus 18 is 22. 22 plus 4 is 26. So the first answer here is 26. So double check your work. If you have any questions, comments, if you're online, just leave it in the comments section. I'll come back and answer it. Let's move on to the next problem. So we've got some parentheses here. So I know I've got to do what's inside the parentheses first. So we got 4 plus 2 plus 3 squared plus 2 squared. Well, I'm not going to try to do too much at once because I find when I do a lot of things at once, I make mistakes. So I'm just going to take it one step at a time. So I'm going to do my 4 plus 2 to get 6. And I'm just going to go ahead and write down 3 squared and 2 squared because I've got all the time in the world. So now 3 squared is 3 times 3. So I have, I'm going to write it where it's a little bit clearer, 6 plus 9. Then we have 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. And I'm just going to pause for a second, double check. 4 plus 2 is 6. 3 squared is 9. 2 squared is 4. 6 plus 9 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. So I've got 19 here. And just for fun, 4 plus 2 is 6. Oh, I did make a mistake. Why'd you guys let me make that mistake? Oh, you thought I knew what I was doing. That's funny. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's go back and we'll just fix this. So I should have wrote my multiplication sign here. And what you want to do when you make a mistake in a course like this, just fix it, go back, learn from it. Now, did I make a calculation error or did I just write something wrong? And I think it's important as a student person to think about what the error was. So I did nothing there that was not smart. I just made a simple mistake. The calculations were good according to how I rewrote it. So 4 plus 2, that's 6. I remember 3 squared is 3 times 3, or 9. Then we're going to add 2 squared, which is 2 plus 2, or 4. So now let's see if we get a different answer. Well, what's 6 times 9? Well, 6 times 9 is 54, plus 4, which is 58. The way that I did 6 times 9 is I know that 6 times 10 was 60. Then I subtracted 6 to get 54. So we got 58 for the second one. Double check your work. You don't want to mess up like I just did, because then you'll be out here in the world. People will see your mistake and they'll laugh at you, like people are probably laughing at me right now, but that's all right. Now we're going to move on to the next one. You got 3 squared, 2 times the quantity of 3 squared, plus 2 squared. And we're going to close that parentheses. And we're going to add 4. So we got something to do inside the parentheses, but notice there's some more operations in here. Anybody tell me what we're supposed to do if there's additional operations inside the parentheses? What's that? Yeah, all right, Sally. Sally's smart. What Sally over here said, guys, is you want to still follow PEMDAS inside your parentheses. So we're going to do the exponents, which is 3 times 3, or 9. Then we're going to do 2 times 2, which is 2 squared to get 4. Then we're going to add that to 4. So now we've got 2. Well, 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 plus 4. All right, so we're not done here. Let's think about it. So we've done parentheses. We've done exponents. What about multiplication? Is there any multiplication that hasn't been done? Well, there is. 2 times 13. What's that? Yeah, that's right, Ty. That's repeated addition, so that's 26. 26 plus 4 is 30. Let's double check our work. We don't want to make any more mistakes, right? But what happens if we make a mistake? Is it the end of the world? Do we say bad things about ourselves, or do we just fix it and move on? I'm a proponent of, if you make a mistake in a math class, just fix it and move on. Not a big deal. I do know a lot of kids, including me, we've had teachers that would define you by your mistakes, and that does nobody any good. So what I did here, since I'm double checking my work, I had 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4, 2 times 13 plus 4, 26 plus 4 is still 30. So when you're double checking your work, the more confidence you get and the more you do it, the less you have to do it totally step by step. But as we're moving on to the next problem, and we're still working with something new, in this case PEMDAS, we're going to do this whole problem step by step because we're ingraining that pattern. So we've got 4, well, times the quantity of 3 squared plus 2 squared, or 3 squared is 3 times 3. I'm going to go ahead and open my parentheses with the 9. 2 squared is 2 times 2, or 4. And then we're going to add 2. So now we have 4 times 13 plus 2. 4 times 13, well, here we got 13 twice for 26. So we could add 26 to that 26 to get 52 plus 2, or 54. Another option here, we could have done 13 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry my 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So we still have 52. See, 52. 52 plus 2 is 4. Now, think about this for a moment. We've got the same numbers. We're adding, multiplying. We have exponents, but we have different answers. Why do you think the answers are different? Okay, a couple of good thoughts there. And I'm just going to summarize what I've heard is like the instructions are different. So the instructions are different. So even though they look like they're the same problem. They really aren't. They're different problems because the instructions are different. So let's take a little brain break. As you're learning something new, especially things that are hard like mathematics, it's just a good practice to give yourself a break every so often. So we're going to take about a 30-second to a 1 minute brain break. You can maybe do some jumping jacks, yogas if you're into physical movement. Otherwise, take a mental break, take some deep breaths, like breathe in, slowly count out as you count to 10, some kind of mindful activity, play a quick game. Don't go play Minecraft for 2 hours because that's going to rot your brain because you should be learning right now. But after the brain break, come back and we'll move on to the next part of PEMDAS. Welcome back. Did you enjoy your break? What'd you do? I got up and did a few jumping jacks. So there you go. So we're working on PEMDAS. PEMDAS. So far, we've done parentheses and exponents. So now we're moving on to multiplication and division. So as we get started, I want you to think for a moment about what is multiplication. I want you to answer this. I want you to think about what is division. I want you to answer that one. And then in terms of PEMDAS, which one which one comes first when you're doing a problem? And there's a right answer. And I'm going to tell you how you should remember that. So I'll pause the video and you can work individually with a partner, small group, or have a whole class discussion on these questions. Multiplication here. Well, multiplication is just repeated addition. So if you had 5 times 3, well, you're adding 5 to itself 3 times. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. Or you could also do 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. So as you can see, multiplication, it just makes adding, especially repeated, adding a lot quicker. Now, think about what is division. And I've heard a couple of people say some pretty interesting things. I'll just recap some things that I heard, and we'll compare what other people said to what you and your group said. Some people said, well, it's repeated subtraction. Not going to disagree. Other people said it's grouping, which it is. What I want us to start thinking about, like multiplication and division, I want us to think of them as inverse operations. So inverse operations in a math course, in algebra, means just opposite. So they're opposite of each other. So if you multiplied 5 times 6, you got 30. If you did 30 divided by 6, you got 5. If you did 30 divided by 5, you have 6. So multiplication and division, they can undo each other, which is very important. It's critical when we start solving equations, because solving equations is about doing PEMDAS backwards or using inverse operations. Now, when we're working a problem, since multiplication and division undo each other, or they're inverse operations, they're also what we call equal operations in that they basically have the same impact on problems. So when things are on the same, they're equal or on the same level, we do what's on the left first because it's the direction that we read. So we work math problems left to right, just like reading. Let's look at these sentences. You would read this as, what is multiplication? You wouldn't say multiplication is what? You would read, what is division? You would not say division is what? And I know there are people out there saying, well, I'd say it. No, you wouldn't. We also would say, which comes first? You wouldn't say first comes which. Just people think you're a lunatic. And then how do you remember? Well, you remember because you can read. You just read left to right. So what this means is if you have a problem such as 4 times 3 divided by 6, you do 4 times 3 first, which will get you 12. So 4 times 3 is 12, and then you would divide 12 by 6 to get 2. So here's some examples, and let's work these. And I'll give you just a moment to either work through these individually with a partner, small group, but I want you to rewrite this one as a multiplication problem, and just remember that multiplication is repeated addition. I want you to think about, can this one be rewritten as a multiplication problem? Finally, think about how many groups of 3 can be made out of 27 items. And then think about how many groups of 3 can be made out of 31 items. We'll go ahead, pause the video, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. So let's work through this. You may or may not remember from pre-algebra that addition can be done in any order. So 3 plus 4 plus 3 can also be done as 3 plus 3 plus 4. And we know from just a second ago that multiplication is repeated addition. So we're repeating this adding twice. So you could rewrite that as 2 times 3 plus 4. They didn't ask us to solve it, but if you wanted to solve it, you could do 2 times 3 to get 6. 6 plus 4 to get 10. This next one, what do you think? Could this one be rewritten as multiplication? Well, let's think about it. And there's 2 schools of thought here. And if this is a supplement to your real school or whatever, do what who's ever giving you a grade tells you to do. But I'm going to say something that might be controversial. So remember, PEMDAS tells us what to do in the parentheses first. So there's no repeated addition inside the parentheses, so we cannot rewrite what's in the parentheses as a multiplication problem. There's only one operation out here. If there's only one operation, it by definition can't be repeated. So I'm going to say no, because I'm just going to say no because of PEMDAS. Because if we're following PEMDAS and we're following it diligently, there's nothing repeating within any of our instructions. And remember, PEMDAS is a set of instructions that says this is step 1. Step 1 is what's inside your parentheses. Step 2 is what's right here. It's outside the parentheses. So since there's nothing repeating in step 1, I will say that we cannot write that as a multiplication problem. Now, the reason some people may say you can do it is because if you remove the parentheses in this particular problem, if you remove the parentheses in this special case, you'll get the same answer. The key here is particular problem or special case. Mathematics only works when things work consistently in every situation. So by definition, when you say this particular case, you're taking a shortcut and you're not following the rules. But 3 plus 4, that's 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So yeah, it's the same answer as this up here, but you're not following the directions. You're making up your own directions, and you're excusing it because in this particular case, you get the same answer. So don't do that. Always follow PEMDAS. Because if you follow PEMDAS each and every time, you will always get the right answer. So let's think about how many groups now we can get out of 27 items. So I'm going to model this with hash marks that'll, 1, 2, 3s, 1, 2, 3. And see, we got, count them, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. So we have 3 groups of little hash marks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can get 9 groups out of 27. So if this was like a standardized test and they wanted you to explain it, well, here's your explanation. Just draw like a little math model. 3 goes into 27 9 times because 9 times 3 is 27. The remainder is 0. So now we got 30. So I just added 3 to the previous 27. I just skipped down to the second one. And there's 1 left over. So here you can get 10 groups with 1 left. So here's a few sample problems. In just a second, we'll pause the video so you can work through these and answer the questions. Once again, work on them individually, in a pair, small group, just whatever your situation is there. After we pause the video, I'll come back and I'll explain how I got my answers. Since you're dying to know if you got the right answer, let's go ahead and get started. So we're doing PEMDAS. I want to keep writing it down because repetition is the key to learning. So we got PEMDAS. So the first one, we have 3 plus 7 times 8 added to 3. Nothing to do inside the parentheses. There's no exponents, but there is a multiplication. I'm going to go ahead and put a box around the multiplication just to help me think about what it is I should be doing. Well, 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to write down 3 plus 56 plus 3. I find if I do too much stuff in my head, I get confused. So writing it out keeps it on the paper instead of in your head. 3 plus 56 is 59. 59 plus 3 is 62. So the first answer here is 62. Is that what you got? Here, now's a good time to double check your work. I'm going to double check my work because I think it's important. 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to go ahead and write down 56. 3 plus 3 is 6. So still got 62. Got it both times. Let's move on to the next one. Now we have 2 times 3 plus 7 times 8. Nothing to do inside the parentheses. There's no exponents, but there is multiplication. Well, 2 times 3, that's 6. We're going to add something to that 6. Well, what are we going to add? Well, we're going to add the product of 7 and 8. 7 times 8 is 56. 6 plus 56 is 62. Did you get 62 for the other 2 answers? If you didn't, here's a good chance to double check your work before we go any further. So now we have 2 times 8 minus 3 plus 4 plus 3 times, times 2 cubed. So we got some stuff to do inside parentheses. 8 minus 3 is 5, so we have 2 times 5. We're going to add something to that product in just a minute. We got 4 plus 3, which is 7. And 7 is going to be multiplied by 2 cubed. Well, that's 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So now we're going to work on our multiplication, which is 2 times 5, which is 10. 7 times 8 is 56. So we got 66. So I got 66 there. And I didn't say the answer was 62 a second ago. I just asked if that's what you got. I encouraged you to double check your work. Now we've got 2 times 8 minus 3 plus 4. To that, we're going to add 3 times 2 cubed. So we're going to 2 times 8 minus 3 plus 4 plus 3 times 2 cubed. We're inside the parentheses here, we got 2 cubed. Well, we know that's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4 times 2, or 8. So we're going to have 3 times 8. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite everything else from up here. 2 times 8 minus 3 plus 4 plus 3 times 8. I'm not skipping any steps because I don't want to make a mistake. Well, so now we're moving on to multiplication. 2 times 8 is 16. We're going to subtract 3. We're going to add 4. Then we're going to add it to the product of 3 times 8, which is 24. So now 16 minus 3 is 13. 13 plus 4 plus 24. 13 plus 4 is 17. 17 plus 24 is going to be, let's see here, 7 plus 4 is 11. Carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, so I got 41. Now, what did you notice about these problems? There's a lot of right answers here. The best answers involve some sort of mathematical thinking. So if you're taking a real course for a grade, what I would look at is maybe these first two. Because here we've got 3 plus 7 times 8 plus 3. We know from a previous slide we can rewrite addition without changing the value. So we just rewrote it. We're repeating the process of adding 3 twice. So instead of writing 3 plus 3, we're going to write 2 times 3 plus 7 times 8. We get the same problem here. So one thing that you notice is the first two problems are actually the same problem, just in a different way. Just like you can express meaning in a sentence by using different words or rewriting the sentence. The same thing in a math course. And what do you wonder? There's lots of things to wonder. But, just, I wonder. There's maybe how many different ways problems can be written. So that's multiplication and division. Let's go ahead and take a little brain break, and we'll come back and we'll finish up with addition and subtraction. And then you'll have time to practice. There's some practice problems included. You've got to do the practice problems if you want to learn. I know it looks easy if you're watching a video, listening to a lecture, but the real learning of math comes in doing math. Okay, you guys are doing a great job hanging in there with working hard, asking good questions. We're almost done with PEMDAS. We've done the parentheses. We've done the exponents. We've done the multiplication. We've done the division. So now we're doing adding and subtracting. So we do parentheses first. Then we do exponents. We do multiplication and division at the same time. We work those left to right. And now we're going to do addition and subtraction. Addition, that's the process of combining two or more numbers to find the number their sum. So you can have 3 apples, 1, 2, 3 apples. And then you get 4 more apples. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 apples because 3 plus 4 is 7. Subtraction, it's the opposite of addition, or it's the inverse operation. It's the process of taking one number away from another. Now, here's what's important, the word difference. Find the difference. Anytime in a math course, between now and the end of time, when you hear the word difference, we're talking about subtraction. So if you have 8 cookies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you eat 3, 1, 2, 3, and you should have eaten more, but that's okay. A little self-restraint. You have 5 cookies left because 8 minus 3 is 5. And we've done some addition and subtraction through this lesson, so we're not going to do too much right now. But what we will do is we'll look at the problem that we started with. So I want you to look at this problem, and I want you to think about the answer. And in just a second, I'm going to work the answer, or work the problem. We're going to get the right answer with PEMDAS. So I need somebody to tell me what to do first. That's right. Somebody just said add 1 to 3 because that's the P. Are there any exponents? Nope. There's no exponents. So now we got 6 divided by 2 times 3 is equal to something. What was that? Oh, that's right. Chloe over there said multiplication and division's on the same level. We do it from left to right. Thank you, Chloe. So we're going to do 6 divided by 2 to get 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So the correct answer is 9. And that is PEMDAS. So take what you've learned here, practice it. There are some practice problems assigned to you. So let's get those done. If you have questions, just drop them in the comment section, and I'll be glad to help you out. Thank you.